car category now. Also a nice healthy field. 34 entries altogether in the two categories, production vehicles and special vehicles. Great to see some sponsorship getting involved in the sport.
You need to sponsor these types of events. You know, you struggle to get sponsors in general for racing events, and you know, we have to promote the sport, get TV coverage, get the sponsors itself some exposure. The last few years, I think it's been starting to grow, getting more popular, more spectators, more competitors as well. There's a lot of competitors, especially on the quad bike side. A lot of new quads, a lot of entries, bikes as well, a lot of bikes entering. But it's in general, it's been growing. The cars as well. There's also a lot of new cars racing, and you know, it's on the regional level. It's actually more your entry, the people entering the sport that competes here. It's not as expensive as a national racing, and it's a good stepping stone.
Okay, we've got Jaco and Jan van Aert getting on the road in the Class B Sandmaster.
As we get out onto the circuit now, this is pretty wet. That's Evan Hutchinson and Achim Bergman in their bat. They don't have too many problems getting through the mud here. Has there been some rain in the recent past?
Yeah, they had a bit of a shower in the week before.
Which is just great for you off-road guys. Hendrik van der Linden and Andries Meinhardt going through their Land Cruiser. Here's the Hilux of another Hendrik, that's Bester and Ernie Grissel.
And in the diesel Hilux. Yeah, we've got Jan then coming through in this section of the track. They're the leading Class B vehicle currently.
Okay, so it's a nice mix here of production vehicles and special vehicles in the different classes. Oh, hard on the brakes there. Now cameraman getting the mud bath treatment.
Yeah, I think
that's
Prinsloo,
yes.
showing how it should not really be done.
Oh, he's just making so much hard work of it to get out of that mud there.
Yeah, he's begging to survive.
Rudy van Graan and TL Foreen there, Zaka. Nice patriotic colours.
Yeah, also a very nice looking vehicle at the end of the day. And for a two-wheel drive vehicle, actually going fairly nicely through that mud paddle.
Derek and Peter de Wit, their Venom. Interesting the names of these vehicles, because many of them are home built, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously the Venom is something Peter has put together himself, although the Prolong colours I think comes quite a couple of years already on that particular vehicle.
That was the Land Cruiser of Pekkie Labuschagne and Rikus Erasmus. This is the Sandmaster, and he's trying to go a different route. Tippy and Theo Janssen van Rensburg.
Being but definitely a bit more cautious, and yeah, not too much concerned about the cameraman.
I was going to say, maybe our cameraman should try and reposition himself. Kobus Kruger and Kobus Swanepoel, and then Mitsubishi. Whoa! The Mitsubishi Colt.
I think we must swap four-wheel drives and go back to two-wheel drive, looks like it.
Well, at least they're giving the spectators something to see. Now, here's an interesting vehicle. There's no name on the entry list for this vehicle, driven by Andre Brits, with Gerard Rousseau with him.
Yeah, it's a typically local-built vehicle. Actually, at the end of the day, you go and have a closer look at the vehicle, fairly nicely built. It hasn't got all the nice, smooth lines, but it's there to do a job, and it actually does it fairly well.
Oh, it's so tricky in these slippery conditions there. Wolf-Peter Vumfai, he's a man that's been involved in off-road racing before I was born.
Yeah,
that's very long.
I think he's most likely one of the most matured riders and experienced riders.
That's a nice way of putting it. Well done. Well done there, Frank. No, Peter is a great character. Tell you what, our cameraman, I think, needs some danger pay from our producers in this program.
It's one of the Isuzu, I think actually the ex-Mark Corbett Isuzu vehicle going through.
Steven Groenewald and Jason Groenewald. It's nice to see families getting involved, not only in the sporting roles, but also, in fact, competing.
In the Northern Regions series on the regional level, you'll actually find a lot of brothers, wife and husband teams, and even father-son teams, father-daughter teams combinations in the majority of the classes.
Here's our man, Helmer van Gesselen, and he's along with Ernst.
Again, a family combination.
And the same here with Jaco and David du Plessis in another home-built car, it looks like it, number 63. How much time do these guys spend? They must spend a lot of time building and preparing these cars.
You know, if you build it yourself and prepare it yourself, you can actually sustain the costs. And that's very important for the regionals level of riders.
Johan Fischer and Jaapie Skutte in their, looks like a Hilux, yes?
Yes, it was one of the older shaped Hiluxes, old models.
It just shows you how quickly things can go wrong, and this costs a competitor a lot of time, even though they may just spend 4 or 5 seconds stationary.
Yeah, the problem is the athlete's going to come up to you shortly, you know, he's going to start pushing you to move over. And you don't want that pressure necessarily, because that results in maybe another mistake.
Just after the Baja buggy of Nick Oosthuizen and Keith Skuman, this is Andre Vermeulen along with Wenzel Pretorius in the AC Special, and this looks like a very familiar site for off-road races.
Yeah, the Nissans are always there consistently. We're not seeing too many of them on the regional, a lot of them on the nationals, but
some sound effects there.
Actually a very good hooter to use on the off-road. It's you can actually pinpoint that vehicle behind you very quickly then.
Here's Leon and Kevin Barker in their special vehicle. I noticed that there is an interesting mix as we see another Land Cruiser coming through. Interesting mix of vehicles in especially the production vehicle category, Frank.
Look, we're getting a lot of ex-factory or works vehicles coming through to the regional levels. Once they've done maybe a year or two on national, these vehicles get passed down at reasonable tariffs to the regional competitors.
And does the same go for special vehicles?
Special vehicles, not that much. You can notice it's a little bit of a different class of vehicle on the regional level. Not as high spec, high tech as what you're seeing on the nationals, although the Zarkos are up there as well in terms of technology. But it's all about cost. The production vehicles that are being passed down from the factories are relatively affordable. Where like a BAT and a Jimco, one of those vehicles are not that affordable, that easy to obtain.
Ernst Hatting and Roy van Zaten coming through in their Class B car.
Yeah, and Gustav Pinar and Menet Pinar coming also through in a Class B.
Just looking at the competition, Frank, like I asked in the bikes and the quads, how competitive are the special vehicles and how competitive are the production vehicles?
You know, because of the quality of the vehicles, as we can see here we've got a national competitive vehicle in the hands of Evan Atchison, who's won a national championship 2 years ago. The spec vehicle is vastly different from some of the other vehicles that we've seen. So it's very difficult for those acts to compete against here, although Evan Atchison is only here to test the vehicle. If you look at a production vehicle like this F10, this vehicle has been coming through the ranks of off-road racing for many years. We all know the Land Cruisers. So in the production vehicles, the competition is much closer, I feel, than what we're finding in the special vehicles.
Okay, we are still looking at our front runners, number 14 there, Hendrik Bester and Ernst Grissel, and look at these cars at speed. They look brilliant, don't they? Jaco van Aert and Jan van Aert going through there.
Yeah, they are leading the Class B charge on the road at this moment. And yeah, you can see the production vehicles actually chasing the special vehicles, so there's not much...
there isn't much in it, really, between them.
No.
At least the front runners. Because we're back at the same spot, and our cameraman still has not learned his lesson, I can see that. But it must be a little bit more tricky now because of the fact that they're going there through there.
Obviously, your terrain will have deteriorated to a certain extent, but on the other side, you know what to expect. And you are but prepared for that. We can see the mud splash being somewhat deeper and also definitely somewhat wider.
I was going to say it looks much deeper than earlier on, and that's to be expected. Here's the Mitsubishi. Just listen to the sound of that engine. Beautiful.
Kobus Krieger. Actually, I think they're enjoying themselves with that amount of power in that vehicle.
Cameraman still getting very close to the action there. Number 67, Hendrik and Dani Hatting coming through. B30.
Tippie and Theo Janssen van Rensburg. The most important side of off-road racing is actually to have a vehicle with which you can complete the event. And that's most likely what these little less attractive vehicles are achieving. You know, they're allowing these guys to compete and finish and score points.
Solidly built, reliable.
Solidly built, not too much worried about a little bit extra weight here and there, as long as it's strongly built and can handle the terrain. We'll have a look at this Ford. This is an ex-American vehicle, still competing on on regional level, although it's a very good national vehicle as well.
Amazing the suspension travel in that vehicle, as our cameraman once again comes under, I was going to say under fire, but under mud really. It's Jaco Swanepoel. That's the famous circuit racing driver. He drives in Polo Cup, and I think that shows what happens when you put these guys onto a dirt circuit, a dirt track. Back to our leader though. That's Evan Hutchinson along with Achim Bergman, and they are absolutely flying.
There's nothing so beautiful as the sound of a V8. But yeah, followed by the diesel closely.
And this is Pikkie Labuschagne with Rikus Erasmus. They started 12th, and they're now third on the road, though. That should give them a production vehicle victory on this event. Well, anything can still go wrong, of course. We are getting closer to the final stages of this race now. Derek Peter de Wit, yeah. Looking at a good solid result in Class B. Here's the Land Cruiser of Hendrik van der Linde and Andries Meinhardt.
As followed by the special of Andre Vermeulen.
They had a pretty solid run in this event so far, as we say, coming towards the final stages now, and they're still going at it, absolutely hammer and tongs.
I think they're making it second in their class, and I think they're also second in the championship so far.
You see the camber on that Ford as it went past. Here's our Mitsubishi crew again.
You would actually ask me that it was set up that way initially.
Yes, that was a question. That was a question. Wow, it's very narrow through that tunnel, actually.
But that tunnel's been used for many years now, and I think everybody knows exactly how wide it is.
Do you think these guys who build their own cars, they design them so that they do fit through that tunnel?
With ease, if you can look at that one. That's one of the few single-seaters still running around.
Chris van Jaarsveld doing his thing. That was a very tight fit.
And again, one of the more modern cars, the modern cars being a lot wider than some of the older cars.
Mick Westhuizen and Keith Skuman in their Baja Volkswagen buggy.
Still remains a classic amongst racers.
You cannot have an off-road race without a buggy, can you?
It's just a pity they tried to ban them a couple of years ago, but then still they are there.
This is going to be a tight fit, I reckon.
And we can actually see them measuring the gaps between the wheels. This is our friend Bodo Bertelt and Paul Kutzer.
And this has become a bit of a trademark for Vernon Venter and Albert Pretorius. Got to wait just for that hooter to do its thing.
It remains a nice tune.
B10, Ernst Harting and Roy van Zaten. So it's all over, and good solid victory there for Evan Hutchinson and Achim Bergman, taking the overall victory and also the special vehicle category ahead of Derek and Peter de Wit in their Class B car and the S-Class car of Vermeulen and Pretorius.
It was a very fast race. There was a lot of flat-out open stuff, so it was quite easy for us. The last section here was quite tight, but that suited us down to the ground. We came out to do a little bit of testing, a little bit of development on the car. It's very different to last year's car, and we haven't managed to spend a lot of time in it, so I thought it would be a good idea to come out here and get some good practice in.
And taking the production vehicle category in their Class F Toyota Land Cruiser, well done to Pikkie Labuschagne and Rikus Erasmus. They were ahead of Alfred and Tommy van Vuren in their Ford. Bester and Grissel finished in third ahead of Prinsloo and Bester.
Yeah, we just kept our pace, and we in the first round we took it slowly and steady, and in the second round I told Rikus, my navigator, to just keep me on the way, and then I put up the pace all the way until in the end that I passed the end here in the finish line.
The Lichtenburg 200 was proudly brought to you by Noordwest Volkswagen, Van Geest Transport, Tacit and Technochain.
Through the